It's a rite of passage as a kid, getting an allowance. Well, the hope for parents is often to teach kids a little about money, but things have changed since we were kids and we got some cash in hand. So we brought in Allison Gormly to tell us what's the deal. I'm sure already parents are like, how much money are people getting now?
We owe everybody more money. Now we owe our kids more money, but pretty much gone are the days where you can get away with paying them something like 50 cents a week.
Right, or a dollar.
Or a dollar, but if you're doing it, we won't tell anybody. But here's about how much kids are making for their allowance, depending on how old they are.
Inflation affects everyday prices and sometimes kids' allowances. In the past year, almost 1 out of 3 parents gave their kids a raise, according to a Wells Fargo study.
The reality is things that children and young adults are spending their money on, those things have increased in price.
The study also found that roughly 2 out of 3 parents kept their rates the same. So, how much money are kids making per week? The median is $20.
The younger the kid is, the less, the 15, $20. As they mature and get into the teenage years, and certainly as they think about going away to college or other things, that's where you start to see all the way up to $50.
While cash is still king when it comes to how kids are paid, some are using peer-to-peer apps and direct deposit, helping to start a conversation about money and how to handle it.
Now, Luann added that almost everyone in the survey agreed that it's important to talk to your kids about money, but about half didn't know how to have that conversation and said it was difficult. So that's something that is kind of like a hump to this conversation.
I think that's interesting. I mean, you know, because today's parenting, we push, talk to your kids about anything and everything, and maybe it's just something that parents don't really know how to have the conversation, but eventually these allowances turn into paychecks.
Exactly, and I think it's something where you don't feel qualified. Maybe if you have a little credit card debt or you have loans, you don't feel like the right person to be giving a lecture on money.
I can see that.
It doesn't matter. It's a starting point because the kids, you don't want the first time they hear about credit card debt and things like that to be when they have an actual credit card. So the goal is to, just like you said, these allowances will turn into paychecks. Teach them how to allocate it. A good budgeting rule for an adult is 50, 30, 20. 50% on your needs, 30% wants, 20% savings and debt. Now, kids aren't going to have a lot of those, so maybe 50-50. 50 can go toward their Roblox, credits or whatever the heck they spend their money on, and then 50% goes right to savings.
And I do not claim to be an expert when it comes to this, and nor is my family. But I do remember my mom just kind of bringing us in and having the conversations like, this is what a mortgage is. This is how we pay it. This is how much it is. Just so there is some sort of awareness. I feel like parents a lot of times don't want to bog their kids down with the stress of money, but money is a part of life and you're teaching your kids about life.
Exactly, and it's how you bring up the conversation. To your point, I would not walk around talking about how stressed you are about money if you can avoid
inflation.
that. Yeah, if you can avoid that. But it's a little education moment. Oh, do you know why we don't speed in our car? Because if we get caught, that makes our car insurance go more.
Yes.
Is that something you want to give more money to? Insurance?
Right. And knowing what you're paying for. I feel like, kids need to know that the cell phone they have, someone has to pay for that. The television they watch, Netflix, someone has to pay for that. The water that comes out the faucet, the heat that comes out the house, like children need to know what you're paying for.
And habits are incredibly difficult to create and maintain. Think about how old we are and how we like to fall out of a habit when it's Friday and we want a coffee. So the earlier you can start these good behaviors and talking about these good behaviors, the better.
Okay. All of that makes sense. Allison is always giving us tips and tricks and all the things we need to know. You can catch her show, What's the Deal? And you can find more information about it on WTHR.com. Allison, thanks.
You got it.